Macros are to do with macronutrients. It's basically a way of describing carbohydrates, protein and fats. They are macronutrients. Macro means big, macronutrients. Basically, if you're a fitness competitor or somebody that's trying to get to very low levels of body fat, they would focus on their macronutrients. They might have more protein than carbs or more carbs than fats, and they'd have them at different ratios for different things. Now, it's all individual, so a lot of people say 40, 40, 20. I need 40% carbs, 40% fats and 20% protein, or vice versa, or whatever. But it's very, very individual, so you can't really say one size fits all.
And we've got an interesting perspective on this, because for the clients that come to the DVCC, we do not, on the whole, for most of them, recommend that they count their macros, or they become, the people that are putting every single thing into their phone to count their macros. Now, that is a blanket statement, because what you find is if you haven't built the correct habits and things, if you go straight into tracking your macronutrients every day, it can really...
Tracking them in terms of trying to hit a certain target. If you're just doing it to see where you're at, that's fine, and we encourage that often. But what Stephen's talking about is not just tracking them for the sake of tracking them. He's talking about where people are trying to hit a certain number of carbohydrates, proteins, fats. We don't encourage that in general for our clients, because we're trying to formulate habits that enable them to be able to not have to be so anal and always entering into their phone. It's fine if you're a 25-year-old fitness competitor whose only thing is that, but when you're having to track what your child's doing at the same time, it becomes overwhelming.
And it can become very mentally draining as well, so you may miss for whatever reason, and it can be that like, oh, forget today, and you'll just go and forget about today, and you'll end up eating far worse than you would have done. And so it's not to say that on one of our muscle tone program, we do actually encourage knowing what you're actually having. And sometimes if someone's progress is stalled or what have you, we'll ask them to actually note down and write down what they are eating. But the blanket prescription that there seems to be of what are your macros is not something we encourage at the DVCC, because it doesn't produce better results in the long run. It produces a lot more angst in the short term for most people. So, there are rare changes. There are the odd person that just loves to see a number, but on the whole, it's not something we recommend as a blanket prescription, like there seems to be going around everywhere.
Seems to be a bit of a fad, which we don't believe leads to long-term, sustainable, enjoyable, healthy living.